Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are continuing on our review for Young, Famous, and African, season 2, episode 4, and this is called The Queen Bee. So I'm assuming it's going to be where Batanchi's going to probably confront Louise. So the two new people are going to have probably a Ponderosa, it seems like, but I'm not exactly sure what else is going to happen. I technically could probably read the previews to find out what they're saying is going to happen here, but I like to be surprised. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. This is basically still a continuation of the main storyline, which is very clear. The main storyline of this show is Annie and Swanky not getting along because it literally impacts the whole entire group dynamic, because together they're literally a fun-loving like duel that just keeps everything light, energetic, and fun. And then separate, neither of them are quite giving what needs to be gave. They basically essentially kind of balance each other out. So Botan, her mission for this was like, that's why she kind of wanted to reach out to Annie, because she already has a personal relationship with her. And we find out, actually, I would say, you kind of can tell, like on the first episode of her being introduced, she already knew a lot of the people ahead of time. So her being introduced wasn't her really being truly new. She was already kind of behind the scenes part of the group. That's what we're learning. So I think she is trying to resolve that issue that's going on with them. And I think this is one of the ones where she's not trying to be messy. She's actually truly trying to resolve it. And it seems like that's like what everyone's trying to do as a collective, because like I said, it impacts the whole entire group. Yeah. Here we finally have where Annie basically states her side of the story of what happened. And I'm not buying it, and neither is Bantan. Basically what she says is that Annie had this idea of inviting everyone to Nigeria, where they're actually from, and like pretty much do a celebration to celebrate the success of, like, you know, their success, like, which probably includes the success of the show, because I mean this show took off. Like, this is one of those few shows it's an African show, and it's internationally, you know, it's a big deal. It's been the big deal. So I think they're going to celebrate that. And then Swanky pretty much says he doesn't think that's a good idea. And then there's like some premiere night at Netflix. And that's when it fast forwards to the picture that I mentioned in episode 1, where Zari went and everyone else went but her. She was not invited. Swanky invited everyone but her. But I feel like both these things could technically be true, like Swanky's side and Annie's side, but it's more a matter of which happened first, and did something else happen that both of them are not saying. Because I still think, even though they are no longer friends, they still are doing the bare minimum. They're still trying to protect each other from not. I think one of them's trying to protect the other, or vice versa. I'm not sure who's trying to protect who, but I think there still is a little bit of respect there. Swanky's basically made clear that he's protecting her, but I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky. So that's pretty much what this scene is, and yeah. So in the next thing here, we have, it's Nadia invited 4 people there. So Swanky's there, Katie, and Conti. She invited them to this new restaurant. Apparently it's a new restaurant that hasn't even opened yet. She has exclusivity, if you will. And when I tell you, they were showing the food before it cut to scene, and that food was mouth-watering, child. But yeah, that's what this next scene is so far. this show does a great job of this, and I love that they do this. So the first scene that we were on, where it was Annie and Bangtan, that's still happening. So Zari shows up for that. So Bangtan must have invited her too. So I think she's going to try to bring them together. And in the opposite scene, though, Kanti was talking about, they were kind of trying to recap Swanky and what happened with Girls' Night, Bangtan's Girls' Night. And they kind of mentioned that they were happy that Annie and Zari said hi to each other. So maybe they're finally gonna come together? I mean, that would be a major resolve if that's to happen from, because one thing that is annoying about some reality shows is if the beef is not real, let's not keep a beef going just for the sake of the beef keep going. It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, that's where we're at. So basically we have two things going on at the same time. And that's what this show does a really good job of. And I think I said that, Ari just said that, but like, it makes it where I think a lot of reality shows have to have like 20, 15, a lot more episodes than this show has. But because they do that so often, you get through things so much quicker. And I like it. I like it a lot. What I'm getting from this, and they're still having the dual scenes where now Swanky brought up the voice note that he sent to Annie. And then in turn, Annie's now letting Zari, which is a new development, and Bangtan listen to the voice note. And it's like the longer Swanky and Annie are beefing, the more in their feelings they're getting, and they're not getting to the bottom of it. I think a lot of it is lost in translation with them too. And if they were to just have talked it out instead of this passive aggressive BS that they have going on with each other, I don't think this would still be a thing. Either y'all gonna patch it up or you're not gonna fuck with each other anymore. Pardon my French, but it's just kind of like, maybe that's just me and how I handle my friendships in real life, and that might be toxic, I don't know, but I'm like that. I am like, and you could talk to people who no longer talk to me, and you could talk to people who still do talk to me. Either we're gonna patch it up or we ain't talking anymore. There's no happy medium. I ain't got time. Like, we're grown adults, we all have lives, some of us have families, some of us have careers, it's just, this is like, patch it up or not, unless something really catastrophic happened, especially when it comes to like friends. Okay, I'm about to go on the soapbox. When it's your friends, because essentially for me, the way I view friendships, at least my close friendships, is this is essentially family I'm choosing. This is not family that is by blood, it's family I'm choosing. So if you're in my life and you're in my life super heavy and you're in my life on a fairly regular basis, and I mean fairly regular because I'm kind of introvert extrovert, if I deal with you at least once a month or more, I'm developing a friendship with you where eventually you could be like family to me. And even for those who I don't talk to on a regular basis anymore, like a lot of my close friends who I'm still close friends with, that's my family. I don't call them friends. They are family to me. Like if I go, for example, if I go to Houston, Texas, I have family there. They're not really my family by blood, but they're family by my relationships I've built with them. And I know no matter how much we have any beef, because child, one of the last times I was there, we got in a huge fight. But I know at the end of the day, that's my family. That's not something that's breakable. Not by some outside resources anyway. The only way it'll break is if both of us just were on some BS and decide to end it. But no, you know what I mean? So I'm just hoping, I guess, back to this story, I hope they, patch it up. I hope they get past this pettiness. I did actually pause because she is playing the voice note, but I don't, okay. So one of the things that she also said when it came to that voice note is she said that he's making it about him. It seems like it's a lot of ego involved in whatever their beef is too. So yeah. Back to the other scene, Swanky's still staying his POV, and Nadia drops a bombshell. She basically states kind of essentially what I've been kind of saying the whole entire time. Without Swanky, Annie's kind of unbearable. I think I said that in the first episode. And she's saying like, without Swanky, like she's like, we're not really friends like that. I'm friends with Swanky. That's what Nadia said. And I'm pretty sure Annie probably thought it was a mutual thing. Like they were friends too, but she's like, no, because Nadia's really, really tight with Swanky, and most of the group is. So it's like, in a weird way, Annie is kind of like alienating herself, because if everyone was to pick between Swanky and Annie, most of them are going to pick Swanky. And she kind of alluded to that, and I kind of even said it in the first episode. So this is nuts that Nadia just straight up said it. She's like, we were close, because she also mentioned the first season, because Nadia and Annie did get close, but they got close because they both didn't like Zari. And Nadia and Zari have patched things up, so they don't have any problems anymore. Because for one, Nadia don't want Diamond anymore, because that's the other underlying thing that I'm sure they'll get into. If they don't get into this episode, they'll go revisit that in the next episode, because I think they need to give that storyline a little bit of a break, and it seems like now they're going back to this storyline. But anyway, that's the new tea that's being spilled here so far. And Caitlin's just kind of there. I feel like last season she gave a lot more, and she's pulling back a lot. And I'm hoping they get to the point where Naked and Caitlin talk about what's going on with them. Because so far they haven't really been giving much about what's going on in their lives lately. So hopefully we get to that, but we have quite a few more episodes to go. So okay, I spoke too soon. Katie showed up. Caitlin showed up. Caitlin is still probably the only one at this point at the other side that has Annie's back still. And she basically is trying to be the voice of reason, because she's calling out the fact that Conti told her to said fuck you. And yeah, she shouldn't have said that. And Conti's still 10 toes down on it. She's like, you know what? I said it. I said what I said. And no. But she's showing up, and then now it's going to go back to the other scene. Like they're going back and forth and back. So, I didn't see that coming. So on the other side, we have Annie and Zari talking things out. And a new alliance is being built. Zari said, Conti ain't your friend. I know you think she's your friend. She's never been your friend. She's a snake. But Zari always thought that way, because Conti and Zari were butting heads at the beginning, like towards the end of last season. She always felt that way. But I think Annie, because she's kind of self-absorbed a little bit and in her own world, thought it was because of Annie. No, Zari just don't trust her. Don't trust Conti, and hasn't this whole entire time. So she was basically, letting like Annie know, because now Annie's finally receptive. It's like, you have to be careful what you say to her, because she'll say one thing to one person, agree with them over there, then over here will agree with the opposite person. And she even called out, like, remember when we were beefing? She just did this while we were fighting each other. And we didn't need to do that. And it's funny, in the confessional prior to these scenes being dual scenes, Conti mentioned and stated that, Zari and Annie have a lot in common. They probably would be better friends than even Annie and I are. Interesting, huh? Why would someone who's your friend say something like that? I'm not sure if it's the same day or next day, but the next scene, it's Annie and Tubaba, her husband. They decide they're gonna have an evening gathering at a dinner table, and they invited just a handful of the group, but not everyone. They invited Andale, of course, because Andale and Annie, they're close. They're super close. And then Nadia shows up, which was interesting, and she said she's not really sure how she feels about Annie at this point, but she's still gonna show up and see what happens, because I think Nadia is saying that their friendship is really surface, but I'll be honest, again, you already know how I feel about Nadia. Pot, meet kettle. Everything about Nadia is surface. She doesn't tell anyone what's going on with her life ever. So it's like, it's kind of laughable when someone like her says that, because it's just like, well, were you contributing to the friendship? But anyway, because I think she's so used to people divulging all the information to her, but she never does in return. So that's quite comical and interesting. But so she's there, and then it's also Caitlin and Naked. They're there as well. And Caitlin is still the voice of reason. She's like, you know what? We need to be understanding of all the gossip and rumors that are going on in her life. Like, you need to be understanding of that. And so as friends, you need to be there for her and stop making it about you. That's pretty much what Caitlin is saying. And then Nick is like saying, if they are having this gathering, they must be doing okay. You know, let's ignore these rumors. And unless they bring up the rumors and it's fact, I'm just gonna roll with it. So them two are really Naked and like Caitlin. I think they saw how they were last season, and they're just trying to be the diplomats and keep it cool and cute. But again, I'm gonna keep saying it. I need y'all to share what's going on with y'all, because it hasn't happened yet. And last season they did. Child. So in this scene, they're all just kind of catching up, and Two-Face Tubaba is talking. Somehow one of his songs came up as like, you know, well, first off, okay, let me take a step back. So first start off where they're talking about African language, and most of them understand it, some of them don't. And the particular language we're talking about is Pidgin, is what it's called, I believe. And a lot of them don't understand, some of them don't understand it, and others don't. But then one of the songs that Tubaba has came up because Andale was mentioning that was his favorite song, and really just kind of ooh and eyeing over their love, and basically saying outside the imperfections of it, you guys really love each other. And he's like, that's what I want. And somehow, some way, Tubaba is now talking about how he just wants to, you know, there's a difference between wanting to like love someone and you're in love with them and just wanting to, like, he literally said that word. And it got really, it's really awkward. It's gotten really awkward. Everyone's just looking at him like, do you know this is inappropriate? And then even Annie's looking at him like he's crazy. Everyone's looking at him like he's nuts, because this is not a good timing for you to be saying all this. Straight up, high key. I'm not gonna go into any more what he's saying, because he's basically digging a hole for himself, and he's just straight up embarrassing the hell out of Annie in front of everyone. In front of the people that she already somewhat didn't really trust, and the ones that she still does trust. And everyone could just see the hurt in Annie's face. And maybe, I'm hoping in a messed up way, maybe Nadia will now see why Annie's acting the way she's acting. Because if he just does this now, you think this is the only time he does some stuff like this? So Nadia just stood there and just let him continue to talk and justify things, while and let Tubaba continue his talking and stuff while Annie exited the table. And what I found very alarming and quite disturbing, no one ran after her. I think Annie might be right. She might be alone. And then she already feels that way. It's very clear. That's been her journey this whole entire time on this show. She has felt alone. And no one is assisting her in feeling different. I think Swanky was the only one, season 1, who kind of did. But now it's getting worse. And I think Caitlin was just kind of shocked, so she just kind of sat there and froze. Naked just is kind of not that type who's going to run after someone. Andale is just trying to get Nadia in line because Nadia doesn't realize that what she did was messy. Because, yeah, once he said what he said, she didn't need to continue on the conversation. It was already awkward and uncomfortable, but she just kept pushing. And it's just like, for you to be pushing and being in everyone's business, what is your business? So Swanky put together this event. Banan was the first one to show up, and then Fontana is showing up next. Louis is going to also be there. Zari's going to be there. So it's going to be 5 people. And I guess the expectation is for Fontana to really get to know Zari more, considering the fact that she's a thing for Zari's baby daddy. Yeah, but she already knows Bonten, so that's not as much of an issue. And she already knows Swanky, so. And she also wants to get to know Louis more, but we'll see how all that goes, because I feel like this is going to be where the Ponderosa happens with Bonten and Louis. So what I love about Banan, she gets right to it. So as soon as Louis showed up, she asked about the story, what happened there. And Louis basically explained the whole entire story. I'm trying to remember, did the story change from the first time I heard it or not? It doesn't seem like it did. He basically said it was his fault and he's sorry because he messed it up. He messed up the booking. It was his fault. And Swanky apparently told Banan something else, but I don't remember it being something else. I'm a little confused where there's a loss in translation, where Banan thought it was her fault. She says she doesn't know this guy. It's like a whole entire thing where I'm confused. And so Louis right away realizes, oh, Swanky told her something else. Okay. So I think this is the beginning of the beef with Swanky and Louis. So again, alliances are being drawn. So basically, after Louis tells the story, no one believes him. And I don't know if I believe him either, because I think I alluded in the last episode, he has a tendency of putting extra sauce on his stories. And I think the story did change. I don't remember the story enough. It's just so convoluted and so silly. I don't think it's enough where it really should be drama stored with it, but clearly it's going to be enough where things start to get, drama's going to start with it. I'll be honest, I don't care about this. I don't care about this storyline. I don't care about this. This is the one where I'm just like, okay, and next. Because to me, it's just really trivial and dumb. Okay. So next thing that comes up is that Zari and Bonten mentioned, sorry, my nose is kind of itching, mentioned that they spoke with Annie about what's causing the issues, what the issues are between her and Swanky. And so they expressed that she shared the voice note and basically kind of made it where it's like he's being self-absorbed, this, that, and this, and that. And Swanky in return's like, okay, that's really messed up that she would do that. And so then after that, then we finally get to the bottom of what the beef is, because they share her version of it to him. And he's like, well, that is partially true. It's just not all of it. What happened is, so he finally did explain what it was. And so what happened was, you know how in one of the first episodes he mentions that he was in the background and overheard Annie say something pretty messed up? Well, what happened is it was actually Swanky's idea to do this event and pull an event together. Annie told them that it was her idea. It wasn't. It was his idea. So they're fighting over whose idea it was for this event that Swanky ended up doing himself. And he cut her out of it because he actually overheard her talking to his people over the phone, and apparently she didn't know Swanky was in the background. And she said, I know you like Swanky, I know you like working with Swanky, but let's cut him out of this and it just be my event. Even though Annie doesn't do events, that's a Swanky thing. So I don't know who I believe all the way, but I partially feel like I believe Swanky because Swanky is a fashion designer. So being a fashion designer, you put on shows, you put on events. That's a very normal thing. Annie being an actress, I don't know about that. So, and also too, since Annie didn't express everything that happened, it makes me think Swanky has no reason to lie, because I don't know why you have a reason to lie about that. So yeah, we finally have gotten to the bottom of it. Now it's a case of what now? So, after that bombshell occurred, where basically Swanky's like, this is what happened and I'm done with her. Louis escorts Fantana out to the side, because they're outside. This next scene, the scene that they're in, it's an outdoor thing. So he escorts her to a separate area outside, and basically he is shooting his shot with Fantana, but like not aggressively. He basically is being really gentlemanlike, being really nice. You're actually seeing a softer side of Louise. And from one standpoint, even though he comes off goofy as all get out and kind of a doof, it's sweet. But Fantana says she's not normally attracted to that. She's basically normally attracted to diamonds, the diamond of it all. And so she said she's willing to give him a shot, though. At first she said she wouldn't, but since, Louise did take the initiative and ask like, hey, can we, grab something? He's basically, she's like, if you plan it, we'll do it. And so he's like, okay, I'll plan it. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully there's no more messy triangles, but I have a feeling there's going to be, because, yeah. Bontan just straight up says, I don't like Louis. I don't like him. He's a liar. And she just basically got to the point. And Zari's like, well, why didn't you just say all that when he was right there? She's like, well, I don't want to waste energy on it. And I believe her. I feel like she's someone who would just say it if she really cared enough, but she's like, I don't care enough to waste my energy. And, but anyway, they came back, and because they were like, they're gone for a little bit, and so they're moving on to the next thing. So they came back with the group, and Fantana and Louis came back to the group. Swanky's messy behind. He proceeds when they get back to ask Fantana in front of Zari what's going on with her and Diamond, because he wants to get to the bottom of it so that Zari and Fantana can either be cool or not. So he's thinking of from that standpoint, but he knows Louis just did what he did. And Louis just feels like embarrassed now, because he's just like, I literally just asked this girl out to find out that she's messing with Diamond. And remember, he don't get along with Diamond. Child. So Zari is already putting her to the test and actually shaded Nadia in the process, saying, as long as you're not being Nadia and acting insecure about our relationship. Basically Zari and, basically her relationship with Diamond, Zari, that is. Her being the baby mama. And Fantana, she can't hide it. She's annoyed with the baby mama thing. She's like, baby mama, baby mama, baby mama. But Fantana's like, dude, I don't care. Me and Diamond literally had a whole entire conversation about all this already, like ahead of time. And they have an understanding already, where they're basically dating, but they're not dating exclusively. They're fucking around with whoever they want to mess around with, basically. And Louis is just, poor Louis, he's just there. I actually kind of feel bad for him right now for this scene, because it's gotten bad. And Fantana, because Fantana, everyone basically forgot Louis even there. They don't even care, which is kind of messed up. And this is probably going to be his first and last season, just fast forward, because it's clear he doesn't fit in with this group really. And I don't see him really making friends with anyone in the group. And he's also super young. Fantana is super young, but she's messy and kind of fun. But she also gives more of herself than Nadia does. So I see her still being around. Basically, it just seems like Louis is the odd one out when it comes to this whole entire group. He inserted himself in the conversation, and immediately I was like, sir, take several seats, not so much, because he's just inserting his foot in his mouth and everyone's looking at him like he's crazy. Because again, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And also too, I think Swanky's the only one that knows that he don't really like Diamond. So actually, I don't even think Swanky knows. I don't think anyone in that group that's there right now knows that he don't like Diamond. So he needs to do less. Louis doesn't realize he thinks he's making himself sound good, but he's making himself sound really, really bad. And Bontan, she's just had enough. She already doesn't like him. He doesn't know that, but she's just going off on him. She's going ham on him. And because he's saying like, you don't want to be Diamond's side chick, like all this other stuff, like kind of misogynistic type views a little bit. Because clearly Fantana's more on the sex positivity side of the house. Plus, you know, she's American born who lives in Africa now. So she even says, she's like, I'm a city girl. She's like, Diamond's a city boy and I'm a city girl. So what's good? Like for her, it's settled. She's like, I'm young, I'm going to do this. And Louis tried to twist around, say like, hey, you don't want it. You're here for your music, not for a scandal. And everyone's kind of seeing through it. They're like, I feel like you wouldn't say this if this was you. And I'm thinking that too. This probably needs to be Louis' last season on the show. In conclusion of this episode, there's more beef now. There was less beef, but no, now there is more. So now Bontan and Louis have a whole entire issue. They really don't mess with each other because Louis, from his standpoint, thinks that Bontan, like, she insulted his whole entire country because she's calling him a liar. He is sticking with his story that this happened. She goes off on him about the Fantana of it all, but really it was about the issue that she brought up before because she doesn't like him and thinks he's a liar. And yeah. This is not ending well, so I think that's going to be pretty much a conclusion of this episode. I'm almost positive. Actually, this is a conclusion of the episode. So it really was, I like this episode, but I would say this. I think that we had a little bit of resolution, but really we had way more clarity and more beef. I'm going to need things to be fully resolved though. I'm at the point now where I'm hoping in episode 5, we finally get some resolution. I don't want any more beefs brewing. I'm over the beefs brewing. I want some resolution because the conflict for me is a little much. And I feel like last season, it wasn't as bad. And with the new players, you're just getting more and more conflict, but there's not as much resolution. So anyway, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of this, and I will see you next time. Bye.